All right, guys, Wes here. Welcome back to the channel. And today we've got some stuff to talk about for Hogwarts Legacy. I think it's safe to say that 2023 has been an absolute banger of a year so far for gaming. And things started off extremely well with Hogwarts Legacy back in February. And after years of development and countless delays, the action RPG set in the Harry Potter universe exceeded all expectations and not only became the best-selling Harry Potter game to date, but also one of the best licensed video games, period. Hogwarts Legacy sold over 12 million copies in its first 2 weeks, which was well above Warner Brothers' expectations for the game, but due to this dramatic overperformance, the development team was kind of unprepared for the demands for DLC and post-launch support. WB has made it clear that they want to make a franchise out of this game, and the developers Avalanche Software seem to be already gearing up for continuing this world they've created. But what does this mean for the existing game, its potential DLC, and the Switch port we're still waiting on? Today we're going to go over all of the recent news that have released for Hogwarts Legacy and its developer Avalanche Software, and see if we can make sense of what's going on and where we're headed next. So the biggest piece of Hogwarts Legacy news to come out recently was a job listing that seems to confirm that the sequel of Hogwarts Legacy is either currently in development or is about to start production. Avalanche Software recently posted a few listings looking for people to work on a high-profile AAA title, including one for an associate software engineer and one for a senior character technical artist. The listings say that the new hires will be working to create what's next, which is implying that this is going to be picking up where something else left off. And since it's also going to be a high-profile AAA title, I think it's safe to assume that the new members of this team will be working on this sequel to Hogwarts Legacy. The job listing also asked for experience with Unreal Engine 4, which is what Hogwarts Legacy was built on, which, as many people pointed out, and like every other game does that has a sequel, this means that the sequel will be reusing some elements of the previous game, which, like I said, makes total sense if they're trying to save time and create synergy. But at the same time, it would be a little bit odd to have a game built on Unreal Engine 4 released in a few years because of Unreal Engine 5 that's been out for quite some time, and many people have been vocal about their issues with the fourth version of that engine. Then again, I'm not the game developer, so this could be just a blind speculation on my part, but the point is that the new job listings at Avalanche Software seem to imply that the studio is bulking up for their next entry in the franchise. Now, it could be just employee churn, basically them having to replace people that either found new jobs elsewhere, or it could be that they're scaling. Now, after these job listings were discovered, some people got excited this could actually be for some kind of paid DLC, but honestly, I don't think that's the case. As I said in my last video, the listings rather explicitly say that they're going to be working on something new and that it's going to be the next step rather than expanding upon something that already exists. I suppose it would make the Unreal Engine 4 experience part of the job listing make more sense if this was going to be building upon a game that already exists, but then again, I don't think that's what's going on here. This whole situation sounds to me like Avalanche is looking to start work on a sequel, and this is them building up their team for that project. It's not completely out of the question for there to be paid DLC for Hogwarts Legacy 1, but unless we get a formal announcement of that in the very near future, I would not hold on to your breath. I just think that there's been too much time that has gone by for a paid expansion to be viable enough for WB Games to fund it instead of putting that money and time towards the next entry in the franchise. So far, 5 versions of Hogwarts Legacy have been released, those being the PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series consoles, but we're still waiting on the Switch version to hit store shelves, and there have reportedly been a ton of development issues keeping it from getting it into people's hands. The last thing we heard about the Switch port is that it wouldn't be coming out until November, and Avalanche Software recently reiterated on Twitter that they're planning on releasing the Switch version on November 14th. They also described the Switch version as their top priority when it comes to the project within the studio, which basically confirms the theories that it's still all hands on deck to get that port done before they really commit to a paid expansion or their next game. Avalanche Software has established themselves as a company that takes their time with their projects and doesn't release things until they're absolutely ready for the public to see them, and in many cases that's been a great strategy. The Xbox One and PS4 versions of Hogwarts Legacy run shockingly well, so hopefully with the extra time that they've been given on the Switch version, they can make something awesome and well worth the wait. While we haven't heard anything official about a paid DLC for Hogwarts Legacy just yet, there are a ton of rumors that there will be some type of free updates in the near future, possibly seasonal things that change the look and feel of Hogwarts to correspond with the real world holidays. In the Harry Potter books and movies, Hogwarts changes with the time of the year, and I think a lot of people were really looking forward to see what the campus would look like during the Christmas and Halloween seasons. There are some rumors floating around that Avalanche Software is going to release a free content patch this winter that adds some holiday themed decorations around the map, and it's possible that we get something smaller for the Halloween season as well. As you know by now, Avalanche is extremely busy with other projects, so I don't think we should expect anything major from a free content patch, but I know I'm not the only one who would love to see the map covered in snow with a bunch of Christmas decorations here and there to make Hogwarts look like it does in the movies during that time of year. Now, all of this talk about DLC and the sequel to Hogwarts Legacy, it does raise a certain question though. Did Hogwarts Legacy live live up to our expectations. The game has been out for over 6 months now, and the hype train has certainly died down. So looking at what we got, did it really live up to the lofty expectations that we all had for it? Or were we just blinded by the hype of getting that big budget Harry Potter game that didn't suck? Personally, I think this game absolutely lived up to my expectations in a lot of ways, and while it did fall short in some, the overall product was well worth the wait. I thought the story was strong and the characters were so memorable, and on top of that, the recreation of Hogwarts and its surrounding areas was a dream come true to experience for a longtime fan of this universe. Avalanche Software went above and beyond adapting this world and making you feel like you're truly immersed in it. The combat was also really well done, and while I was hoping that the unforgivable curses would have a little bit more weight to them within the game's universe, I'm happy with how unique and powerful each spell felt. I think it's undeniable that there were a few areas that I think that this game fell short, mainly in the enemy variety and the lack of deeper RPG elements. The enemy variety got a lot of criticism when the game came out, and I totally agree with just about all of it. Enemies in Hogwarts Legacy are pretty repetitive, and while part of that is due to the restrictions of the universe, I think there could have been more effort into making sure that the combat didn't get too boring. There aren't very many enemy types in Hogwarts Legacy, and some of the most popular mods available on the PC version are solely dedicated to addressing this with more enemy spawns, different enemy types, and so on and so forth. Hogwarts Legacy could have benefited with some more variety in the combat and just the overall variety. And while we're on the topic of variety, I think a lot of people were hoping for a deeper RPG experience. Despite being a Harry Potter game, there really wasn't much talk about the battle between good and evil in this game, and it's not really the kind of RPG where you're able to be a total D-bag throughout your entire playthrough. As fun as that would have been, I think a lot of us were hoping for a morality system or maybe a dark and light system similar to the one in Knights of the Old Republic, but that just wasn't there. I'm really hoping that the sequel addresses that and gives us some RPG elements and moral choices so we can truly craft our own experience at Hogwarts. It is Hogwarts Legacy at the end of the day. Let us build our own legacy. Maybe certain actions will tempt you to the dark side more than others, or maybe following a truly righteous path will give you unique rewards and powers to unlock. Like for instance, me on my first playthrough of Hogwarts Legacy, I didn't use a single unforgivable curse, and I was totally committed to role-playing throughout my entire first playthrough as how I would want to be as a wizard. And I really didn't gain anything unique. If anything, I lost the ability to use some spells because I wasn't using anything unforgivable. So being rewarded for going down the righteous path would be really cool, just like you're rewarded for going down that evil dark side path with getting to use unforgivable curses. Perhaps being a righteous wizard in Hogwarts Legacy 2 will make you more of a leader on campus, while being an evil bully just makes you attract other certain evil characters. I just hope that Hogwarts Legacy 2 is more of a true RPG than the RPG light experience that the base game ended up being. Given the fact that Hogwarts Legacy was meant to attract the largest player base possible, I totally understand why the RPG elements were rather simple, but now that the fan base has been established, I think the sequel will be a perfect opportunity to expand upon these things and make a truly immersive and personal experience for each player. Now, I was pretty let down by the fact that certain in-universe things like Quidditch and the House Cup weren't in the game, and they were just totally absent from the finished product, but ultimately, I think those are forgivable omissions with how much extra time it would have taken Avalanche Software to do them justice. I'm disappointed that they weren't in the game, but I'm also kind of happy that they chose to omit them rather than doing them haphazardly and not do them justice. That being said, I'm really hoping the sequel has a lot of content in the game, because it would be absolutely incredible to see things like the Triwizard Tournament and the House Cup recreated with the same kind of passion and care that the base game received. For the sequel of Hogwarts Legacy, they've got a real opportunity to basically finish up the game that they started essentially. There's no denying that the story was really good for Hogwarts Legacy, but you can't deny that closer to the end, it felt a little bit rushed. Like everything happened all at once, it seemed like, which I won't lie was a pretty epic experience, but I think the pacing could have been better near the end of the game, which I just know for a fact that they will improve on for the sequel. But what do you guys think about the state of Hogwarts Legacy? Do you think we're ever going to get the DLC, or do you think WB Games and Avalanche Software are just moving along to the next project? Personally, I've kind of lost hope that the paid DLC is ever coming, but maybe we'll hear something by the time the Switch version comes out. It really is a toss-up at this point. Most of my ideas for a DLC are probably things that are just going to be included in the official sequel, so we may just have to wait until Hogwarts Legacy 2. Hopefully modders decide to go ham on this game and keep it alive after 10 years like they were able to do with Skyrim, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, guys, that's going to wrap it up with this video. If you enjoyed it, do me a favor and leave a like, subscribe to the channel with your notifications turned on, and until next time, this has been Wes, and I'll talk to you guys again soon.